Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and you are watching the first session of a brand new Mecha Hack campaign entitled Paladins. I am joined by some really stellar role players. We're going to be introducing them shortly. First, I want to direct everyone's attention to the description of this video. If at any point during this game you feel like, wow, this seems really fun, I want to get some Gundam action going at my game table, there are some links down below where you can pick up the Mecha Hack yourself on either absolutetabletop.com or drivethrurpg.com if you prefer that avenue. So we're going to go ahead and have our players introduce themselves and talk just briefly about their characters because we're going to be meeting these characters very shortly. We're going to go ahead and start at 12 o'clock on the overlay and go clockwise. So Barker, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and who you're going to be playing today.
Hi team, I'm Barker. And today and in future days, I'm going to be playing Paladin Raptor, the commander of this team. I am, again, Barker, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Aaron, introduce yourself. Tell folks where they can find you and a little bit about your character.
Sure. My name's Aaron. You can find me most places at Aaron DVS. And I have a YouTube channel, which I think is just my name. I think you can also check ADVS Productions. Might still be around for whatever the channel name is. But I'll be playing Mattie Jai, a sweet boy, sweet soft boy inside of a big hard suit, who is going to be our engineer / scout for this campaign. And I'm really looking forward to playing him.
I feel like sweet soft boy inside of a big metal suit is just the genre like encapsulated into a single sentence. All right, Matt, go ahead. Tell people where they can find you and who you're going to be playing.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'll go by Matt B because there's two Matts going on here. I'll be playing Tulip Cho, also known as Paladin Rain by our call sign. It's a Quipster Titan, and you can find me at Instagram, Airship Captain. There is occasionally nerdy stuff there.
Great. John, go ahead, man.
Hey everybody, I'm John. Outside of this, you can find me at my channel, Out of Character. I'm playing a character known to most people as Regael or Paladin 3s. I'm going to be playing a character who, for anybody who is a Gundams fan, is a Char clone. So he's the mask-wearing person with chip on his shoulder, and he's also piloting a very experimental mobile. I want to say mobile suit, but I'm pretty sure that's not what they're called. That's a Vanguard, and I'm really excited to get into this. Huge Gundam fan, really excited to play a mech RPG.
Awesome. Yeah, it's people in the chat are saying some people's mics are a little low, so I just boosted the audio, so hopefully that'll help. And last but certainly not least, JB, go ahead and introduce yourself, tell folks where they can find you, and tell us a little bit about your character.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm JB, also known as @DropTheDie on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. If there's a platform I missed other than Pornhub, let me know. I'll be on there. I make tabletop stuff and do tabletop reviews, and today I will be playing the part of the maverick in the group, the bare-knuckle brawler of mechs. Her name is Zasha Ilynovna, and I'm excited for you to meet her. If I can handle the Russian accent long enough, it'll be dope.
Well, yeah, you're signing up for doing a Russian accent for 10 to 12 sessions, so I expect you to keep it up. Yes,
female Russian
yes,
accent, yeah.
Yes. I am looking forward to that for sure. So yeah, we're playing the Mecha Hack. This campaign is definitely going to be inspired by the the mecha properties of my childhood. I'm a big fan of things like Gundam Wing and Neon Genesis Evangelion, things like that. Very like teenage like angst and melodrama against a backdrop of like universe-shattering events, political intrigue, and things like that. And so we're going to be diving into a little bit of that kind of stuff here. So this is definitely going to be a different kind of campaign for me, but I'm really looking forward to stretching my Game Master muscles here. So let's go ahead and get started. We open on a pristine starlit sky. The stars twinkle through the atmosphere as we pan down, and the black expanse of the night sky is broken by columns of smoke and blossoming explosions on the horizon. We pan down further and we hear distant thunder, explosions, shots being fired from cannons. Down further, we hear shouting, commands being barked, orders given. We hear the stomping, the thunderous marching of Mecha as a battle rages. On the outskirts of this battle, 4 Mecha move into position. Paladin 3s, you have the best vantage of the battlefield inside your suit. Why don't you describe to me what you see as you near your objective, this large ion emplacement, gigantic cannon firing shots into the atmosphere.
Yeah, so as I'm looking through my screen that has been magnified several times over, so that even from the distance that I am, I can see things very clearly. And I think what I would see is probably several mechs that are maybe engaged with some of our forces that have already been sent in. And the fighting has already started, but their mission is mostly to engage the enemy to prevent them from seeing us making our way in. And I would send that over radio and say, the plan is going perfectly. They haven't spotted us yet.
You all hear this over the comms, and you've learned over the years to trust Three's instincts and his eyes. And so as you move into position, Paladin Neon, Paladin Vogue, and Paladin Rain, we'll start with you, Neon. How do you prepare? What are you doing as you near the objective, this gigantic ion emplacement, this huge cannon every few seconds just goes firing these massive beams of energy into the sky?
Neon's mech, this big hulking refrigerator, it's not as polished and as pristine as everyone else's in this unit. So when the information comes over the comms, it buzzes harshly, and she tries to reach up and realizes she's touching a helmet and shakes her head instead. Outside of the mech, as they're going down this steep embankment, the treacherous terrain is everywhere in this place to keep the embankment safe as this thing fires off these rounds. I'm imagining that there are mech on 3 sides, every side but ours, around this thing, a perimeter set up against the forces that it's fighting against. And watching as these bolts of plasma and energy and the shots of standard projectiles ring out, the whole place is covered in smoke and flashes of light. And that's the only way we can even see them in the darkness from this far away. Before all of the tech lights them up and illuminates them and what little HUD we have, we're just listening for those sounds, seeing those flashes of light in the darkness. And as we get closer, there's so many more than we anticipated, but we're still on the march.
Yeah, and every time another enemy mech shows up on the sensors, there's this little blip as it's highlighted, and on the HUD you see little, information about what chassis type it is, what armament it's carrying, and it's happening too often for your comfort. Paladin Vogue, you see neon in front of you going down the embankment. Threes is behind you watching. How are you preparing as you near your objective?
So Mattie looks out through his HUD and through the eyes of the Paladin mech, and surveys the situation. Sees Paladin Neon going marching ever closer into danger, as is their wont. Shakes his head and and goes reaches above him to turn on a couple of switches, and so you see that the mech that he is in is sort of this it's like all curves, and it's sort of got a more feminine shape, and it has these panels on it which are actually the color is mutable and shifting as part of his design, and with that he has and it's sort of preferring this purple and gold right now, but then after switching some switches, the sort of color cells within the armor begin to shift, and he turns on his cloak.
Vogue disappears from vision and off of the enemy sensors, but the rest of you still see this outline as his mech is kind of called out on your HUD, so you know where he is. Rain, you're just kind of bringing up the rear here. How do you prepare, and what does it look like as you approach this ion emplacement with the rest of your fire team?
Paladin Rain is a mech that is, if Paladin Vogue's was feminine, Paladin Rain's mech is androgynous. This medium to large sized, but very girthy, silvery blue machine that probably looks the most regal of the bunch. With the billowing cloak behind it, and a massive tower shield in the left hand, and a long rifle in the right. As the sensors start to collect the information, Tulip smiles with gritted teeth and says, "Nasty weather out there, guys. Nothing we haven't faced before. Deal's on me if we make it out." And the bright, fiery orange, almost like with the color of the sun, glow that comes from those eyes is piercing and menacing amidst the armor-like chassis. With shield in hand, the knight steps in front of the other mechs in a protective position.
You approach your objective, and as you near it, you get a ping on your comms from headquarters. You hear a familiar voice over the comms. "Shh, Paladins. Your objective lies before you, the ion emplacement. We have drop ships incoming in 30 seconds. You must destroy or disable the ion emplacement to ensure that our dropships are able to touch down in time." We are all depending on you. Comms cut out. The ion emplacement is surrounded by a low wall, which itself has several gun emplacements at each corner, stationary gun emplacements. In addition to that, there are enemy mecha that are sort of standing all around it, guarding it, keeping an eye out for incoming enemy mechs. You are all within far range of the ion emplacement. Let's go ahead and roll for initiative. So the way that this works, in Mecha Hack, you are attempting to roll under your stats. Each mech has 4 stats: power, mobility, system, and presence. For initiative, you're either going to be rolling mobility or system, whichever is higher for you. If you roll under your stat, you succeed. When it comes to initiative, if you succeed, you get to go before the bad guys. If you fail, you go after. Super simple. So you can either just put in the chat or let me know whether you succeed or not, and that'll tell me what order you'll go in.
So a tie fails, right?
A tie does fail, correct. Yep. Cool. Barker, what did you get? I missed it. Oh, never mind. Don't shut up. Don't tell me.
Fail.
Like, I'm sitting here like, wow, Barker's really taking his time rolling. All right. Paladin Vogue. You're up first. There are 4 enemy mecha between you and the ion emplacement, as well as 2 stationary guns. At far range, what would you like to do?
So he had just turned on his cloak, and he was kind of sitting nonchalantly, literally like this, as he was surveying the surveying the field, and then he sighs and then puts the soup down, and he says in the comlink, "All right, I'm gonna go trying to get behind them. Don't get too injured, please." And he will they're at a far distance.
Correct.
He is going to I believe that the jump jets take me to the far distance, but I have to roll something. So what I'd like to do is still cloaked, just hop on over there.
Cool.
And try to get behind these 4 mechs and kind of lie in wait to do some kind of like sneak attack on them, if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So on your turn, every mech has 2 possible actions. And so using your jump jets, that's 1 action. So when you use your jump jets, you immediately move to a far location. You don't provoke opportunity attacks. You ignore difficult terrain, all of that. And then you roll your reactor die. So whatever your reactor die currently is, go ahead and roll that. And if you roll a 1 or a 2, it means that reactor downgrades. If you roll anything else, you're good.
So he does this. He punches it a little too hard, and he fails the reactor die. But he is one with the machine, because there's a little tingling in the back of his neck.
Yeah.
As he says, "Come on, Vogue, don't fail me now!" And he will sacrifice, I believe, 2 armor points.
2 armor points to avoid. Yep.
Yeah, so there's like a little bit of there's some sparking in the cockpit as he avoids overloading the reactor.
Yes. Yeah. Every character in this campaign has a special pilot ability called One with the Machine, which is a result of them all having some special cybernetics, which we're going to be learning more about as the campaign goes on. But so that's awesome. So you basically, your stamina becomes Vogue's stamina. As you do these jump jets, you feel the reactor overheating, you feel the machine around you straining, but you push yourself and you push the machine forward and manage to avoid any sort of downgrade to your reactor. Now, you have one more action as you sort of touch down silently cloaked behind these enemy mechs. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I don't know if he's willing to be the first one to throw a punch right now. I think that he's going to just try to keep himself in a strategic position and wait for everybody to get here.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Great. All right. So that brings us to Paladin Neon. You're up next. You see on your sensors this little blip as Vogue uses those jump jets, and you maybe even see like a glow of jets, even though the mech itself is cloaked, as the mech touches down behind the enemy line.
That was going to be one of my very important questions, was do I know where Vogue landed?
You do, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. If I know, that's perfect. 2, is there atmosphere where we are? Or are we like on an asteroid with no atmosphere?
There is atmosphere.
Okay. So Zasha, sitting in the cockpit of this enormous just slab of armor plating, will nod and say, "Okay, I've only got one shot, but fuck it." And she raises the mech's arm, and on its back, this cannon, this Ardex 4 ion vector cannon, slides down on a rail and around the side of the mech, and she tucks its arm underneath it to support it. The heads-up display, and she fires.
Awesome.
So I'm going to shoot this vector cannon from here, the far distance. This is a plasma weapon, so it will ignore armor and shields if it hits.
Great. Okay. So for shooting weapons, that's going to be a power test. Basically, just roll power. Let me know if you succeed or not.
I actually really succeed, Matt. I rolled a 2.
That's great. Not quite a crit, but almost.
It is for me.
Because
I have crippling damage as a brawler.
You do.
You score a critical success and deal critical damage on attack rolls of 1 or 2.
I forgot about that. I did write this game, but I forgot about that. So
there's a lot to remember.
Yes.
And you know, like 25 systems.
I
look at these guys giving you excuses.
I know.
I'm enabling.
Yeah, I'm so used to people being like, "God damn it, Matt, didn't you write this?" So you'll get to roll your damage twice, basically, JB. So
okay.
In addition to it being plasma and ignoring armor and shields, you're going to be doing some pretty devastating critical damage here. So
it is also a heavy weapon. So when it says +2, do I add that to the rolls?
Yes, you would add it to both your attack roll and your damage roll. So basically, it's harder to hit, but it deals more damage. Now, because you critted, that +2 doesn't actually matter because you still rolled a natural crit, basically. So,
okay. That is a 7 and a 6.
Okay, so 13
so 14?
damage. Yeah, 13 total.
Okay.
Holy shit, that was close!
Yeah, there's this, like, as this cannon fires, and this, like, beam of energy, sort of mortar style, fires out and lands in the midst of these mecha. And as it fires, they sort of take evasive action and immediately start moving and bringing up shields. But it doesn't matter because this plasma weapon just melts metal. And so as it strikes down, there's this explosion. And two of the mecha that are standing there defending this ion emplacement, you see they're just sort of grunt mecha with little shields and some submachine guns. Two of them just melt. They disappear in the white hot energy of this blast from Paladin Neon. And when the energy clears, there are just these piles of melted metal sort of sitting there smoldering. And the battle has officially begun. So that was one action for you, Paladin Neon. Would you like to take another one?
I would say that at this point, this heavy weapon is like steam's blowing off of it. It's white hot almost.
Definitely.
So she'll lift the arm and have it slide back to the back of the mech. And is there anywhere that I could take cover from return fire?
Yes, absolutely. There are lots of like crags and little outcroppings and stuff. And there's actually some, it looks like there was a failed offensive earlier. And so there are some downed mechs in your path as well. So you have several options for moving behind cover.
I think I like the idea of hiding behind scrap mechs and kind of blending in there. That works perfectly.
Cool. All right. You do so and sort of put your mech shoulder into this downed mech that died so that you could have cover. All right. Bad guys are going to go. They immediately train their weapons on Paladin Neon being the most obvious target, but being behind cover, you're going to have advantage on your roll to try to avoid damage, but please give me a mobility check, if you would, Paladin Neon, with advantage.
I am quite mobile, so hopefully this works out. If I can find a D20. Come here. 4. So huge success. I have 15 mobility.
Very good. You feel the shots pinging off of this cover that you're behind and overshooting it, landing in front of you. You hear the debris and rocks and stuff sort of plinking off of the hull around you. And Paladin Vogue, from your vantage point, you see these mechs sort of put their submachine guns over their shields and these like casings that are the size of cows come shooting out of the breeches of these huge guns. Ping, ping, ping. And the gun turrets on either side of the barricade sort of zero in on Neon's position. All right, threes. You have a great vantage point on what's happening here back up on top of the hill. It is now your turn.
Ooh, all right. Let's see if I understand. All right, cool. So for my first action, Threes is going to see what's going on with Neon and how everybody is starting to target him. And he is going to go ahead and activate his sniper mode. So his mech is going to buckle down and kind of kneel closer to the ground. And these like huge like spikes will shoot out from his legs and anchor him to the ground while he takes, and his third arm will hook on to his very long sniper rifle that he has, attaching itself to it to stabilize it as he takes aim at one of the, you said that there was turrets attacking Neon, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So he's going to take aim at one of those turrets and use his next action to attack.
Dope.
Cool. So again, potential stupid question, but I rolled the D20 to attack, right?
Correct, yeah, and you're basically trying to roll under your power in order to attack.
With a ranged weapon, you use power?
Yep, correct.
Cool. Nice. So I succeed. So now I roll my damage die.
Now you roll your damage. Yep, correct. And because you're using a heavy weapon, you get to add 2 to that damage. But you don't have to add 2 to the attack roll because, as we discussed, that extra arm allows you to stabilize the heavy weapon, so it's easier to aim.
All right. Yeah, 79. Cool. So I'm doing 9 damage to this turret.
What does it look like as you destroy this turret?
Cool. So yeah, he just aims down and he starts to mutter to himself in a prayer that sounds very reminiscent to what he knows his father has taught him. And as he's getting ready, his like aim is starting to center, and you hear the doo, 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 as it like locks onto it, and you hear "Vengeance is mine, and I will repay," says the Lord. And then he pulls the trigger, and the turret just explodes.
Yeah, there's this explosion that lights the night, and several soldiers sort of like jump off of the turret as this, this sniper bolt the size of a car just lances through it and explodes it from the inside. And you all sort of feel a little bit lighter knowing that Threes has his eyes on the battlefield and is now shooting anything that's going to shoot at you. Bringing up the last round in initiative here, Paladin Rain. You're standing in front of Neon and Vogue with this shield, or not Vogue anymore, but Neon with this shield up, and the fire has officially started lancing out towards Neon's position. What would you like to do on your turn?
Paladin Rain wants to make it rain, and as the silver mech steps out in the open as opposed to behind the rubble or destroyed mechs, the embossed floral designed shoulder pauldrons just unhatch with a hiss and just unload a copious amount of missiles that stream out towards the closest target, and it's a stupid amount. They're small missiles, but they are stacked on each other.
It's an unnecessary number of missiles, yeah.
And that is my module.
Great, yeah, missile barrage, baby. Okay, cool.
I succeeded on my test power.
So yeah, so now you get to deal 4d4 damage, divided as you choose between enemies. So basically, roll your damage and then divide it up among the enemies.
Okay, 10. I would like to divide it as evenly as possible. How many are left? 3?
So there are two mecha standing there, and then there's a gun turret as well. So 3 targets possible.
Okay, so I'll give the turret. I'll give the turret 4 damage, and I'll give each of the mechs 3.
Okay, so not enough to take anybody out, but you severely damage all 3 remaining targets with this just like rain of missiles that and then come down. There's just this like curtain of explosions that occurs as these missiles strike their targets. So that was one action, Paladin Rain. What do you want to do for your second?
I would say, well, I set it up for you. Give them hell, Raptor. And with that, I'll use my my Quipster ability if I can.
Yes, you absolutely can. Paladin Raptor is not actually there though, so you'll have to apply it to either Vogue, Neon, or Threes.
Okay. In that case, I would say the exact same thing. Give them hell and Threes, or no, Neon. Neon's right beside me, so that makes sense.
So you hear that?
I'm gonna pretend that was the actual like wording in which
Yeah.
which Tulip
Yes.
uses. It's just like
Yes,
give him
give him
hell.
hell,
You.
Oh no, you're Neon, right?
That actually
I love the idea that Paladin Rain is like the forgetful Paladin.
My favorite character already.
Yeah.
So yeah, what the inspiring speech does is give advantage on a single test before the start of my next turn to Neon.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, over the comm, as the 2 mechs go down and the other mechs are damaged, a gun turret goes down, there's another ping on the comms, and you hear, 20 seconds until dropships arrive, Paladins. You have to take out that ion emplacement. Vogue, you're up.
Interesting. Okay. So, I'm imagining that I have like a front seat to all this carnage because I'm like right behind all these people and I'm just like right
you're
there.
watching it from the front lines. Yeah, exactly.
And when it comes to this thing that we're supposed to be taking out, it's just it's a structure that I'm currently like that I'm right next to because I'm behind everyone.
Yeah, you're basically, there's like a wall surrounding a big giant, what is essentially a building with a giant cannon on top of it, and you're basically between the walls and the mecha and the cannon. Basically, you've moved between the front line and the cannon itself.
All right. What a time to not have any kind of explosive. All right. Interesting. So I'm like looking at the carnage and Mattie's just like, there's just some kind of like, there's like a close up on Mattie's eyes and he's just like, as like somebody just like gets blown to pieces and another person just like falls out of their mech like in a crisp and just says, Lucas, what did you see in all this? And then he hears the 20 seconds until, and he shakes his head and he's like, all right, I do a quick comm link. I'm within range of the target. Should I proceed or attack?
Leave the mechs to me. Zasha
Great.
shouts back.
I'm going to I'm gonna try to get as close as possible to this target that we're trying to get to, and like I don't have like the hacking skill or anything like that, but if there's anything system wise I can do to mess with it or make our lives easier, I would love the ability to do that.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to make a system test to try to basically access the mainframe of this ion emplacement, you absolutely can. Go ahead and give me a system test if you would.
Okay.
Go ahead and add 2 to the roll.
All right, so that's all together then a 6, which is well below my system score.
Great.
And did I take a movement to get there? Or
no, you're pretty much within range of it, so that would just be your one action to do that, and then you've got one action left.
I have succeeded. What is that?
So you do a quick like, and you like plug a few cables in, and like this code starts scrolling on the HUD, and you get like a little diagram that begins rotating of like the insides of the ion emplacement, and you can see on the back side there is a panel where the power source of this ion emplacement is stored. It's this gigantic beryllium battery, which is the same kind of reactor that powers your mech. And you see that it's on the back side of the ion emplacement under a heavily guarded panel. And so you can see that is, if you can remove that, you'll probably shut down the ion emplacement.
Am I like a movement away?
Yeah, if you use a move action, you're there. Yeah.
I just say, all right, I'm gonna cut the snake off from the head. All right, and he's just gonna make a quick movement towards the batteries, the power source.
You do so. You move around the corner of this ion emplacement, and as you kind of come around the corner and spot the this large sort of panel, you also see, and your HUD goes beep 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 beep. You see this Titan chassis mecha that is standing there, and it has a hammer in one hand and a big gun in the other, and it's sort of like scanning around. And for a second, you like kind of almost panic and like dodge out of the way, and then you remember that you're cloaked and it can't see you, but it sort of like scanning with this like glowering sort of eye, almost like it's looking out from under a helmet as it's scanning the horizon for enemies.
Mistakes were made.
I immediately regret this decision. Okay, Vogue, that was your turn. Neon, you're up. I imagine that you have on your HUD, you can see the two mecha remaining as well as the gun turret, but you also get a new ping on your HUD as your sensors are connected with Vogue's, and you see that there's a large enemy mecha on the other side of this ion emplacement.
So I think that I would piggyback off of the comms, seeing this and knowing that Vogue is busy, and specifically tell Threes, I would say, there's someone else here. Someone else departing. Take care of it. And Zasha will, because I have rocket fists, it gives me unarmed and improvised weapon proficiency, basically. So what I'm imagining is I'm behind this pile of scrap and these destroyed mechs, and I'll reach out and grab hold of one of their arms, legs, or a big piece of plate off of one of them and peel it off. Just
Great.
Now, I'm new to this, obviously, but a move action is one of my 2 actions for a turn.
Correct.
I also have Charging Strike. As a move action, I can immediately move to a near enemy and make a melee attack against them. So
Yes.
Can I move within near range and then Charging Strike and hit one of these 2 remaining
So-
mech in front of me?
I'm going to say you're already within near range of one of these guys, so you can just use your charging strike. For future reference, if you were to move and then do another move action, you would basically have to roll your reactor die for having done the same type of action twice, because that's one of the ways that you can roll. You can like technically attack twice in a turn, but if you do so, you have to roll your reactor die, that sort of thing. So
in this way that you're setting me up to fail forward,
yes,
I'm moving with charging attack and then attacking, which are 2 separate things. Not going to attack both mechs, right?
correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. So I'm going to do that.
Great.
I peel off this piece of a mech in front of me, and again, Avalanche is the name that she's given this mech. And it's this big, boxy hunk of armor. Its arms are on swivels and hold in odd directions. It has all this different kind of tech to make the arms adjustable, longer, shorter. It does not move in this fluid grace that the rest of my companions do. It just chomps over top of this pile of mechs in a straight, solid run. Ah! She's screaming inside her own helmet. The comms are buzzing because she forgot to cut them off. Everything is getting lost in this red haze of battle right now. So this mech closes the distance and swings this piece of an arm at one of these 2 remaining mechs in front of me. Now, I have advantage from my closest and dearest friend, Paladin Rain.
You do.
So I'll use it on this attack roll.
My oldest and dearest friend, Paladin Rain.
That is a success. It is a 10 out of 15. So
Awesome.
Whack!
ahead and
I'm going
do
to
some damage.
recklessly attack. When you make a successful attack, you can choose to reduce your AP by 2 and roll 1 additional damage die.
Mavericks,
So
baby.
I'll roll 2d8 for this boy. 11 damage.
Go ahead and
That reduces-
describe how you take this mech out.
It reduces my AP to 3. So there's this momentum, this pivotal swing. The top of the chassis of this mech twists in the different direction than the legs to make the swing come 180 and smash straight through the shield. The shield hits the mech and embeds in part of it as it topples over to the ground. Spinning like that throws plates off of the mech that were held on just from welding for this one battle. Not quite ready for all of this. But the arm just disintegrates when it hits. And this thing topples over. It might not even be destroyed completely, but it certainly can't pry itself free of its own shield. Standing right next to the other mech that's on the battlefield, Paladin Neon is going to grab with these Artex grapplers that have been installed on the mech. So these arms out wide and snatch onto this thing. So I need to test power. Come on, baby. 14 out of 16, so it is a success.
Awesome.
And that does 1d4 damage, 3 points of damage, and he's mine. I pull him close and hold him there.
Dope.
I do have to roll reactor for this, though.
For the grappler, yep.
I do. That is a 3, so I'm good if it's a d6.
Yep,
from a
yeah, it
reactor?
just has to be a 1 or a 2 in order to downgrade. If you roll anything higher than that, you're good.
Awesome. So that's me. I'm basically tying up all of the loose ends between the rest of my party and Vogue, who's finally made it to the objective. They have
Awesome.
nothing to worry about on this battlefield, and they can focus all of their attention on this new mech that arrived. I've
So-
got them tied up! Zasha screams.
The ion emplacement, which was pointing straight up into the air to fire at passing ships, rotates. And fires 3 small shots into the air. 3s, you're sitting there sniping, but you see on your HUD, beep, 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 and there's like a sort of anticipated trajectory of these shots, and they're heading toward you. Please give me a mobility test, if you would, and add 2 to it.
Me?
3s, Paladin 3s.
Making sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am so busy. Please don't
Yeah.
hurt me, man.
I've got enough going on. Okay, that's a fail for you, Paladin 3s. Okay. So that's going to be 8 damage. And I need you to roll your reactor die as the ionic energy just sort of courses through your mech. Damn. And the reactor overheats. There are sparks.
Wait, but I can do the one with the machine thing, right?
You can do the one
reduce
with the
my armor?
machine thing, yep, and reduce
Okay.
your armor instead.
I
Yep.
will do that.
Yeah. I'm regretting giving that to you guys. Okay. So anyway. So yeah, you are one with the machine, and you're able to shrug off that. You feel the energy from the ionic blast actually coursing through your body as it courses through your mech, but you manage to shrug it off and maintain your control. The last remaining mech that is tangled with you, Neon, is going to try and attack. Yes, it's sort of drops its gun, reaches back, and pulls out this. It's like a heat hawk. It's basically like an axe that has like a molten edge to it, and it comes back and tries to bring it down on top of you. So I'm gonna need a power test from you, or not power, mobility, please.
Are you sure it's not power? Matt?
I'm pretty positive. Pretty
Dang
sure.
it. I rolled exactly my mobility, which would
Okay.
have been less than my power. Dang it.
All right. Well, I rolled pretty low on the damage, so you're not too bad. 3 damage from this heat hawk that comes down, probably sticking in some piece of non-vital armor.
That is a question. Do I subtract that from armor or health?
Your choice. And you could take
Mix
one
and match?
armor and mix and match. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Burger King. You have it your way. I don't know.
I like it.
That's what it says on the back of this book.
What an interesting mechanic for
Yeah.
this unusually easy to play tabletop game that you can get today at absolutetabletop.com.
Checks in the mail. Okay. So the heat hawk comes down, doesn't do too much damage. The gun turret, the remaining gun turret, swivels, targeting you, Paladin Rain. These huge shells come streaking toward you. Mobility test, please. Okay, success for you. You managed to, any shots that hit just ping, ping, just playing helplessly off the armor. All right, that brings us to you, Threes. You've had a mech called out to you. You don't have a super clear shot, but you see just the barest outline at this distance of this Titan chassis that is sort of on the other side of the ion emplacement guarding the batteries.
Okay. So Threes is going to be again mumbling in his cockpit as he's buzzing with the ion energy that's coursing through his body after being hit with the ion cannon, and he can see that the cannon is now aiming directly at him, but if he exits out of siege mode, he won't be able to give the full support that he knows his boys need. So instead, he remains bunkered down, pretty literally putting his life on the line as he's painting himself as another target. So what he's going to do is he's actually going to reach out and pull one of the levers on his side that's going to start feeding his reactor core directly into his sniper rifle. As he diverts power and downgrades his reactor core from a D6 to a D4, and increases his power outage. So the fins on his sniper rifle actually fan out, letting out heat energy. So now that his position is already given away, you can see this clear heat energy just giving off from him and the hill. And his fins on the back of his suit glow up and everything, and he takes a shot, even though it's a very small shot, at the mech that he can barely see. So I also have advantage because I am sniping and I'm not moving.
Yes. Now, technically, this mech has cover, which would normally give you disadvantage, but because you already have advantage, basically you're just making a normal roll.
Okay, cool.
I forgot that you were playing Vanguard too. That's so dope.
Yes. Okay, so I succeeded on this, which means I get to roll this D12. So the other thing that I forgot with my last shot is because I'm actually in siege mode, I actually get another +2. So I get a +2 because I'm using a heavy gun, and another +2 because I'm in siege mode. So I get a +4 to this damage.
Oops.
All right, so that is... All right, so I'm doing 15 damage to this guy.
Damn, okay. Let me check how many hit points he has.
16.
He has exactly 16 points. So not quite enough to take him out, but the shot goes clear through this mech's head. So this gigantic mech standing in front of you, Paladin Vogue, and you don't even hear the shot before it hits. It's one of these situations where you hear the shot after the bullet has already gone through the mech's head. So there's this and this circuitry and pipes and hosing come flying out the back of this mech's head, and then you hear this distant thunderclap, and you know that Threes took this shot from a mile away. This mech sort of staggers backwards, just barely catching itself on its arms. Sparks and fire smoke kind of coming out of this gaping hole through the thing's head. You know that its sensors are probably damaged, and it's going to be a lot easier to take out.
Yeah. And before he's done, Threes will say, "I leave the cleanup to you, Vogue."
Rain, it is your turn. There's one mech remaining, currently grappled with Neon and the gun turret emplacement, and then there's another mech on the other side of the ion emplacement in front of Vogue.
Paladin Rain, catching that fire from the turret, turns on a heel and just kind of has an annoyed look. Excuse me. Blade rifle extended, which is the rapier of long rifles. It's just this long, skinny weapon. Fires this thin plasma beam like a pinhole towards the turret. And I rolled under my power, so I think that's a success.
Correct.
All right. And it's a light weapon, so that is...
So that'll just be your normal damage die, unmodified.
3.
3 damage. With the 3 damage you did earlier on this thing with your missile barrage, that's enough to take it out. So go ahead and describe what that looks like.
Yeah. So this long, almost as long as the Mecha is tall, despite being so thin and skinny, rifle just swings up, and the turret, it kind of hits what looks to be the core, like, rotor that's controlling the movement of this turret, and it just shoots through it, and the thing just collapses on itself. And Paladin Rain turns on a heel, done with the bug that hit her screen, and turns back towards Neon and says, "Dummy balloons at the ready." And that is going to be my energy shield or my second action. And I have to roll my reactor die. I'm good on the reactor die, and it skirts across, so it's in a better position to fire this defensive measure. And I'd like to describe that if I get to use it.
Yes, absolutely. I'll remember that. Okay, cool. All right. Back up at the top of the initiative. Paladin Vogue, you hear distant engines, turbines, as these drop ships approach. You hear the clank of the ion emplacement, the turret moving to target these things. And you, on your scanner, beep, 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 it picks out half a dozen drop ships that are coming towards you. What would you like to do?
With the placement that I'm in right now, would I be able to both attack this mech and handle the ion placement?
Yeah. Yep, I would say so, because you used your move action last time to get into place. So you could do an attack action to try and take out this enemy mech, and then a use action to try and basically rip the battery out.
All right. So this is, all of our first mission. And Paladin Vogue, Mattie, is looking at the mech that has just been decimated by Three's sniper, and watching it to sort of convulse and spark, and seeing an opening and hearing Three's words, and he thinks, he maybe even says to himself, he says, if I do this, do I set myself on the path that you did, Lucas? Will I be able to, is this a door that I can even close behind me? And he hears the drop ships. He sees the thing. Maybe he sees for a second that it begins to maintain its composure, of the mech, and it, maybe he thinks that he's threatened for just a second. He decides, no, I have to survive. And he is going to take out his quick weapon, which is essentially like his arm, kind of his hand becomes this his hand convulses for a second, and it bends, and then these blades sort of come out of it, and then he basically just unseen just kind of does this uppercut thing to this scratching along the side. But we'll see how he does with this attack roll. He's not very powerful.
You do have advantage because you're a scout and you're currently hidden.
Great.
So you can roll twice and take the better roll.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Thank goodness for that. So that is a 6 because my power is a 9. And so is there a plus to this? No. All right. So it happens.
Yep, it just happens. You get to roll an additional D6 damage from that ambush as well.
Additional on top of the D4 that I already
Correct.
did, right?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Sorry, I have like adrenaline pumping for me for some reason. I've never been a big metal boy before. This is a lot of pressure.
It's because you're hooked up to the Geist system, baby.
The Geist system. It's true. He's like convulsing and shaking, and there's like blood coming from his nose, and he rolls perfect damage with a 10, and he just scrapes across just disembowels this thing if he can.
Yeah, there's just it looks like bear claws almost across the front of this thing, and it just like it's already still kind of reeling from the sniper shot, and then you come in with these claws and just finish it off, and it like falls backwards, toppling to the ground, and there's a moment of silence, and then it goes as the reactor blows inside of it, and there's just this pillar of fire and smoke that comes out of it.
Oh yeah, the objective. And he turns around and he goes to just pull this back if he can, like just pull this battery out of the thing. You
reach in and even use the claws on your hand to reach in and basically rip this battery out. And as soon as you rip the battery out, there's this collective in everyone's mech. All of your HUDs go black. And on the screen, you see simulation complete. Mission accomplished. And your simulation pods open up, and the four of you see yourselves sitting in a circle inside these gigantic spherical pods meant to evoke the feel of a mecha cockpit. We pan upwards and find ourselves in a control room overlooking this room. There's a woman standing in the room with an eye patch over one eye. She's watching this simulation on the screen, looking at all the readouts. She watches the four of you in your pods for a second and then turns. She says, "Well, Raptor, what do you make of them?"
Room for improvement, says the tall commander, cigar clenched in his teeth, bead of sweat falling down his forehead. He wipes it off, takes the cigar, and lets it drip into the ash. Tss. Takes another puff. Room for improvement.
We'll move to debriefing then. I think it's time the Paladins met their commander. If you're ready.
He looks at this person next to him. A little, like a teeth growl on the side of the mouth. Like he wouldn't be ready. And he begins walking on the, the metal risers. And you hear the clang, clang, clang of boots on his way to the crew.
This woman follows behind you, Mora, and this is director Julianne Saxifrage, and she is the director of this installation and the Paladin program. She follows behind you, and you four Paladins, you're sort of emerging from these simulation pods, and I imagine that you're celebrating your success, waiting for the adrenaline to die down from this very real situation that you felt you were in. And there's like kind of this silence that falls over the room as Director Saxifrage allows you a moment to recover. And the four of you see that there is a young man, but seemingly perhaps older than the four of you, at least in the way that he carries himself, standing behind her left shoulder. She waits for the four of you to emerge from your pods, and she says, Well done. That was the third time you've attempted that simulation, and this was the best performance across the board from all of you. You stuck to your roles, utilized your unique skill sets, and you pushed the Geist system to its very limits. Threes and Vogue in particular. Well done. Neon and Rain. You did well in your support roles. You kept the enemies off of Threes and Vogue and allowed them to do what they needed to do. It has been years since you've started training here. I've watched you grow as young men and women, as pilots, as comrades. But there has been a piece missing to your squad. Commander Mora, please, you have the floor.
Silence falls in the room. The reverberation quiets itself. And Mora steps forward again, the boots clanking against the steel riser. First, he walks up to Threes. Looks you up and down. Why are you here?
Same reason as everybody else, I suppose. Chosen to do something great. Wanted to step up to the plate.
Good faith. Better eyes. Don't let either of them blind you. He steps away. Walks in front of Vogue. Oh, stops. Backs up. Turns. Looks you, Vogue, in the eyes. Why are you here?
So he still has blood coming from his nose that he's like wiping away. And he's actually, even though everybody's been kind of celebrating, he's been quite quiet and not as thrilled. And he points to a patch. Let's say it's on like his like uniform. That let's say it has the Jai family like sigil on it. I don't know what that is yet, but it is there and it is present. And he says, I suspect a lot of people would say I'm here for this, but I'm really here for this. And he holds up his arm, which is kind of has like this bracelet almost that is just has this giant like thick steel coil from a mech that's just wrapped around his arm. And he says, my brother Lucas fought bravely out there. I'm here to honor his memory.
You see a look of surprise in Mora's eyes. He steps back for a moment. Good tradition. A long line of people, dead and gone, looking up to you now. Don't fuck it up. He turns and walks down the line. Stops in front of Neon. Turns towards her, skeptical. Why are you here?
Neon's got this bubblegum pink hair, this feathery, delicate hair held back by a pair of goggles. And she's running her hand through it when you stop and ask that question. And her finger kind of lingers over this port on the back of her neck, this Geist unit. And she pulls her hand away kind of quickly. She's like, No. You do what you're best at. I am one of the best pilots this place has seen in a while. Of course I pilot. It's really all I know.
Good confidence. He gives a side glance to the rest of the crew and the other side to empty space and looks back to you. With the amnesiac drugs wearing off, now that you can remember all previous times you've been in this simulation, how did you feel this time, taking a life?
She kind of clenches the muscle in her jaw, and those cross-hatch lines that are in anime for darkness go over her eyes. And she says, I did not like it, but I did it anyway. It made my heart race, like I was going to pass out. But I didn't. I just moved on to the next target. And her fist clenches, and the pop in the fist by her side. Just the next target. I knew what had to be done.
Mora reaches for a cigar. His hand shakes and his eyes, you kind of see fear in them as he drops the ash on the steel. And lastly, he turns to Rain. In this inspection line. Well, you know the drill. Why are you here?
Paladin Rain has strawberry blonde hair tied back, and she wears military garb that's 2 sizes too large for her. That kind of hangs over her small figure, like wearing your dad's shirt. And she looks a little nervous, but then a smile creeps on her face, which is probably to her own demise. And she says, they don't really have pilots underground, except for me. I wanted to see the sky. Now I see a lot more than the sky. She shrugs.
A smile crosses his face briefly, and then back to the gritted teeth of a commander. Good optimism and initiative. Don't get anyone killed. He steps back in front of all 4 and he says, too slow. And he looks to the director, just like the previous 2 times. Too damned slow. If you're going to win, win. But room for improvement.
The director has been watching this entire time and almost like assessing you, Paladin Raptor. Sort of like you're assessing the squad and she's standing behind you assessing you. And as you finish your debriefing, she nods. You know that Director Julianne Saxifrage is a mecha pilot. In her day, she was known as the Rock Breaker. She piloted dozens of missions, racked up hundreds of kills, and now she's devoted her life to training the next generation of pilots. Right. Tomorrow marks your final assessment. From here on out, there will be no excuses. There will be no leeway. No mercy given. I ask that you 5 do the same for the enemies of the Neo-Dominion. When you started this program, it was as a way to strengthen our hold on Lodestar Alpha. The rebels in our midst, the Terran Collective, the pirates, the scrappers. These were the enemies we faced when the program began. Now, as you graduate, we have a whole new host of enemies. Invaders from outside of the system. Monsters from beneath us. The defense of our empire falls to you, Paladins, as it fell to me long ago. Tomorrow, you will see the Mecha we have built for you, based upon the designs you have honed over years, piloted in training simulators. Tomorrow you will see them in person for the very first time. Tomorrow you will be complete. The final piece of yourselves. An extension of your mind, of your body, of your very soul. You've been given a rare opportunity. Not just a chance to serve, but a chance to progress our great empire. It falls to you, Paladins. I envy you, while simultaneously being glad that it does not fall to me any longer. Get some sleep. Tomorrow the real work begins. Dismissed. She turns to leave. And with that, we will go ahead and take a break. And screens got moved around. I'll move screens around during the break. We'll go ahead and take a 5 here. Everyone can go use the bathroom, get something to drink, and then we'll commence with the game. I'll go ahead and put a splash screen. Parker's like, it was not me, which means that it was him.
I did it.
All right, we'll be right back. Thanks everyone for watching. Please stick around. Where's my... Hang on. I have done this before. Where's my there we go.
I have streamed in the past.
Okay, there we go. All right, we will be right back. Thanks, everybody. Paladins for sure. Hey, everybody, we're back. I'm going to move the screens around really quick because somebody, and I'm not going to say who.
Because Barker might get a little offended.
Yeah. Okay,
if you said Barker, I'd be sad about it.
All right, so Neon needs to move over here. And
I was going to suggest this elaborate plan where we all cut our stuff off and back on until we're right in the order, but that would be horrible.
Dude, I'm waiting for when he's done. Trust me, all it takes is stop video and then turn it back on immediately. That's all it needs. It's such a fragile thing.
It just hangs by a thread. Okay, all right. There's Barker up there where he needs to be. Such a little thing. Such a little thing. I can't forget what he says after that, but all right, everyone's in their right place again. Let me lock everything. All right, Barker, go ahead and turn your video off.
Oh, I almost did. Oh man, sorry.
You're like, you told me to, dude.
Crap.
All right, so we're back. Thank you everyone for watching, and we're gonna get right back into it here. So, the four of you end up going back to your bunker, basically your bunks. You all share a room here at the far end of this complex, and the installation itself is built in the rings of this sort of fringe moon on the edge of Lodestar Alpha. This very, very remote place, unknown to many. The moon itself is completely uninhabitable, no atmosphere, no gravity. And this installation is known as Tintagel. And you have been living here in Tintagel for almost a decade at this point. At least 6 or 7 years, even for the youngest of you. And inside your room, these bunks sort of stacked against the wall in these alcoves, each of you with your own footlocker. And there's always been an empty bunk in this room, and you've always theorized who would someday take that bunk. And as the four of you go back to your room and sort of do your normal sort of nightly routine, chat about the mission, there's this like shadow that fills the doorway, and you all look, and Commander Mora is standing there with a duffel bag over his shoulder, ready to take that last bunk.
Surprised to see me?
A little? Yeah.
I need you to like just tone it down just like 5 degrees. Like I get it, but if we're going to be living here together for like who never knows how long, I'm just going to need that to be just like dialed back just a little bit.
Will you be giving up about 5% of your soups? Seems fair.
He looks around from Neon. He looks to Vogue, smiles, cracks a smile a bit. Paladin Vogue, tell me what you know about the Geist system. And he puts his duffel on the bed.
Well, I remember my first operation when I was a child.
Be specific.
Okay. Let's see. Well, it's this thing that's in the back of our heads that connects us to the machine. And so sometimes it feels like really shitty when I get hit. And it feels really real, kind of like it did in there. I could have sworn I was killing people, but I guess I wasn't.
You're right. You are the machine. And the machines are you. And
first of all, I'm Mattie, by the way. Mattie. Mattie is my name. I am not my machine. I drive my machine. But you can call me Mattie.
You are Paladin Vogue. And that was a good description of the Geist system. You fail, the machine fails. If the machine fails, I fail. If I fail, we all fail. He takes a puff of the cigar and there's nothing left. It's just like like a quarter inch of burned tobacco, and he chews it instead.
I mean,
You know,
I'll try to make sure that.
smoking inside's pretty bad.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, smoking inside's pretty bad for you. You're in a cockpit a lot.
I will do my best as the team engineer. I will do my best to make sure that none of your machines fail you. Okay, just try to stay in reach, because that last mission, it got close there. You all were getting hit real bad.
And Threes would look at Mora and say, "Commander, if I may, you asked us all why we're here, but we never had to hear it from you. What are you doing here?"
The intensity spills from Mora's face, and he looks at the wall. I am here because I must. He looks to all of you. You, I, we. We are no longer people, Paladins. We are pilots. It is our duty to fight the wars of humanity against the Terran Collective, against all other enemies, because if it were not for us, there would be no fighters. War may someday end, and it is our objective to see it to its conclusion. But for now, let us be warriors.
Hear, hear.
So if you were to say what kind of color you feel like right now, how would you all describe that color? Right now, I'm feeling kind of, I think I would go with maybe a little bit something like a mauve, like gray, but also purple. Because like I didn't really like what happened in that simulation, but I don't know. I feel powerful. I'm still shaking from all that.
Zasha is sitting on the edge of the bed, and like the magazine that was on her chest is on the floor now, and she's looking at the commander. Always with the colors. Always. Black and the white, not colors. They're shades, apparently. Always colors.
And Threes would look at the commander again and say, "One more question, if you would, Commander. We all are familiar with each other. We've spent 7 years training together, eating together, sleeping in this room together. Would you mind just filling us in on your credentials? I just want to be able to trust that you are a commander that I can trust with orders. What gives you the right to hold that title, if you don't mind me asking?"
Matt, how long have I been a Paladin?
I'd say that you've at least been a Paladin as long as the rest of these guys have, so 6 or 7 years at least. It's possible that you were brought into the program earlier than the others, and that's why you've had more training.
You see him stare again at the wall, and you see a cutaway of a space station. And it explodes, and then back to him, and sweat drops down his face. You see a child taken by the arm. You see a desperate cadet hold his hand out and get the medal of a Paladin passed into it. He clenches his fist around it, and you see his fist clenched there in the dormitory, in the barrack. No, Threes. Now is not the time. I look forward to hearing more about you and your stories. Also, Vogue. Green. I'm feeling a little green today. And he gets on the bunk and lays down.
It's a pleasure to have you aboard, Commander. And he's going to drop a an empty, unheated styrofoam cup full of noodles down onto your bunk. And yeah, so, and just to describe for the audience, because I realized I haven't really described Mattie yet. He is he's like 5'10". He's like 220 to 230 pounds. He's a big guy. He's got brown skin and a pretty big head of hair, curly hair that is dyed turquoise. So it's pretty good. He looks great if he stands next to Zasha with the pink hair. But yeah, and so he's going to be on his bunk and just he'll be he has like a sketch pad where he's like drawing designs for other mechs.
Yeah, let's go around the room and go ahead and describe what your pilot looks like and what they would be doing like as their like wind down routine after this mission that, though was simulation, was very, very real for all of you.
I'll go next because I was mentioned. Zasha is not extremely tall, probably 5'8". She weighs like 101 pounds. She's very slender and thin. Like I said, she has this bubblegum pink hair with the tips kind of silvered and bleached out. Like she doesn't maintain it as well as she should. She always wears these snowboarder style goggles on her head to keep her hair out of her face, much like I have to do at the moment. She also has a scar that runs from her cheekbone down her face to her jaw. She does not mention where the scar comes from, and if asked too many times, she'll generally fight about it to keep it not a topic of conversation. She's not afraid to throw hands, even though she's not a big person. She is very adept at fighting, as is proven with her mech piloting. After this mission, I'm imagining that she would be in her bunk. And I would say if there are a set of 2 bunk beds, she would want to be on the bottom bunk. That way it would be 3 single bunks and a bunk bed, and she would be on the bottom of one of those. And she would have her legs crossed, bouncing one leg up with her knees touching, with a magazine in her lap of tech stuff, latest science things. It's a bunch of that bleeding edge technology that's being sold to different corporations around the galaxy sort of thing. All vague ideas and understandings like new interfaces and new ways to correct alloy displacement in space, things like that. It is the most boring thing most people could ever read, but she reads them every day, and there's a stack of them underneath the bunk. She, after the conversation is done, puts on a pair of headphones, these little soft padded ones that look awkward but are so very Japanese, plugged into what looks like a Walkman, but it's obviously future tech space Walkman. It just looks identical to the 1980s version for some reason in this far-flung future. And from it, occasionally you'll hear the bassy undertones of smooth jazz as she just kind of whiles away the hours until she passes out.
Like any good Gundam show, it is the year 3041, and here is this Discman that I'm listening to. Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. All right, who's next? Who wants to go next?
So I think as we get that visual of Zasha on the bottom bunk, the screen pans up slowly to the visual of Tulip show. Just kind of legs up, very lackadaisical. She's playing kind of in the same vein this future's version of like a very clunky game system, like a Game Boy. And above her, you see all these little pens that she has launched into the ceiling, and like with such effectiveness that they are stuck in the ceiling. She just does target practice on the top of the bunk at all times. And she quips from up top down to Vogue. You know, those noodles will kill you faster than the enemy will. You know I can cook, right? And she continues to play her game. What she looks like is like a high back, strawberry blonde hair. She's about 5 feet, like really short. And like I said, oversized Zaku green military coat that almost goes down to her feet, and like an oversized military hat that she kind of wears tilted front forward. And yeah, she's just like going crazy on this game.
Awesome.
So Regael would, like I said before, he is the Shar clone. So he actually has a mask that covers his eyes and kind of folds around his nose. And because we're in the future, he's not just wearing like a masquerade like piece of cloth. It's like a metallic like mask with like the eyes closed in with like maybe some kind of like holographic HUD or something that's built in there, that doesn't necessarily go around his head but somehow like suctions to the front of his face. And he has dark skin. He's probably like maybe 5'11", maybe 6 feet. He's tall, but like other people are taller. And he has these like thick, well cared for dreads that kind of sprawl out of his head with like rings that wrap around each one. You can tell that they're like maintained because like they're not like all over the place and crazy. They're like very like meticulously kept in line and folded into like different braids. Almost every day he goes through the process of like putting them in like different ponytails or braiding them up or what have you. But before he goes to sleep every night, on one of the desk work tables, there's like a spread of gun parts as he takes out his pistols and his assault rifle, wipes it down, puts it back together, puts it back into its casing. And then as he climbs into bed, he reads through the outdated political information that he gets from whatever the information relay is by the time it gets to the moon. And it's like, you know, not information that would be useful in any kind of political drama, but he takes what he can get and he reads through all the news that's happening in the system. And once he's read as much as he can, he goes to sleep at probably before everybody else and is probably awake before everybody else.
Amid this this squad of misfits, what does Commander Mora look like, and how does he bed down now in this new location?
Commander Mora looks like he has a 5 o'clock shadow, even though he never shaves. It just stays there in that exact position forever. And he's constantly got some sort of cigar in his mouth or like a twig. At this point, it's another cigar, smoking indoors. He's not bedding down or resting. His hat, his commander's hat, is laying low, just slightly over his eyes, but he is looking at a clipboard and he's making notes. And he's still in full uniform, full dress uniform, and his pen dies, and he looks over at Rain. Paladin Rain, do you have a pen? And he glances up, and there's just pens all up in the ceiling.
She like bangs her system against the ceiling, and then they all start falling aggressively.
Son of a bitch! I take out my pad and I just basically like use it like a shield. They're like they stick in like arrows in a shield.
One rolls close to Commander Mora. He gets up, grabs the pen, gets back in to his bunk, the top bunk. It's a top bunk, and I don't think there's anybody sleeping underneath it. It's like a empty bunk underneath. And he just continues taking notes and jotting ideas down.
The evening passes uneventfully, and though there's something new with the inclusion of your commander now in the fire team, all of you eventually bed down and fall asleep, and around 10:30 p.m. Local time, there is a very familiar this like pleasant tone that goes throughout the entire installation as the lights begin sort of gradually dimming, creating the illusion of nighttime. And you all take that as your cue to sort of go to bed. The night is quiet, as it always is. The constant drone of the rebreathers, the ventilation system, the gravity generators, it's white noise. You don't even hear it anymore. If it wasn't there, it would feel like there was something wrong. But in the middle of the night, that drone is punctuated by something. One of the pens falls from the ceiling and clatters on the ground. At this point, the four of you are probably starting to stir and wake up as this like distant thunder is sort of shaking through the installation. You feel a vibration beneath you that wasn't there before. And as more pens fall from the ceiling and clatter to the floor, the lights come up. And a siren begins wailing through the installation. The emergency lights flick on, this blood red light that just immediately alerts your senses. You're all awake and flying out of bed. A drill right now? The night before your final assessment. Okay, all right. You all jump out of the bed and kind of look around, wondering, confused. Instinctively, you all look to the commander.
The commander leans, sits on the side of the bed. He shifts to sit over the edge. Well? And then he drops onto the floor, and he grabs his bag and walks out the door. He has everything packed into his one bag so he can evacuate or leave in a moment's notice.
As the door opens and you step out into the hallway, you almost collide with Director Saxifrage. She says, she gives you one look. She bangs on a panel in the wall, and this like drawer slides out, and it's filled with guns, just like. And she goes, "Take one. This is not a drill."
Aye, Director. He salutes, and he grabs a pistol off of the rack, and he stands aside, waiting for the crew to walk out.
Assemble your fire team. You're being activated ahead of schedule.
They're prepared. They're trained. They'll be there.
And as you turn to assemble them, you feel her hand on your shoulder, and she turns you around and she says, "Are you?"
Always, he says.
She nods, hearing the anxiety beneath your tone. And she watches as you assemble your team.
Yeah, so Threes would have already been getting up, grabbing his 2 pistols, sliding them in, grabbing his assault rifle, turning off to safety, cocking it, waiting for the commander to give the rest of the orders, a little panicked.
I think that Zasha, Paladin Neon, would kind of slide out of bed pretty easily. Like grab onto the little rails above the bed and kip out for some reason, as she is wont to do, and run out into the hallway, and almost like she's looking for her favorite weapon from this drawer, sort through them for a second before pulling out an assault rifle and cycling it a few times to check the ammunition. Ready.
Paladin Rain Tulip would hang that oversized hat on the bedpost. It sits there crookedly. And when she does so, you can see the part under, like the undercut underneath her tied back hair where that port is. It's been shaved to make room for it. And she hops off with very good spirit for something going wrong, and she heads over to the weapon cabinet and she starts to pocket like grenades, explosives.
Son of a bitch! And I get up. I adjust my clothes. I get my engineering gear, and I try to throw as much of my belongings into that. Definitely the pad. I'm wearing my most important belonging, my bracelet. And I'm just kind of putting it all in this engineering kit, and he's going to go to that drawer and just kind of sigh and just close it and is just gonna get out his system his system working tools and just like, this is more my speed. All right, Commander, this is your chance. Don't get us killed.
The director pulls a pistol from the drawer as well and checks it before she looks to all of you and says, "Follow me. We're heading to Hangar 87. Quickly now. Move." And she begins running down the hallway with the 5 of you behind her. As you move through the installation in the eerie blood red glow of the emergency lights, you hear those distant thunderous booms as they get closer, and you actually hear like distant gunfire, like in atmosphere, almost like there's people firing inside the installation. And you come around the corner, and there's this long sort of cylindrical hallway that comes around this bend in the installation, and its walls are all glass, and so you can look out and you can see all of the other moonlets here in this ring surrounding this moon, and you see the stars and all these nebula and the twinkling lights of distant planets here in the Lodestar Alpha system. And as you come around this corner, you all see that the stars are falling from the sky. And it might be that you're dazed, still half asleep. And then you realize, no, not stars, mechs. There are dozens of mechs that are touching down on this asteroid. And the thunderous booms that you hear are them touching down. And then you hear the thunder of the point defense turrets of the installation roar to life and begin firing in the direction of these mechs. You see fear in the director's eyes as she looks out the window and sees this, looks back to the 5 of you. This is not a drill. she continues running down the corridor.
As Paladin Rain runs behind the group along the catwalk, those flashes of red in the warning klaxons actually alter her disposition. If anyone notices, but she is at the back. She hesitates for a moment, the joy leaving her face. She's reminded of another time that she heard such a thing. She almost loses her step and drops her massive grenade launcher in her hand, and takes a deep breath, and there's little anime like beads of tears at the corner of her eyes for a moment, and she smiles and charges forward. It's not a drill.
You don't even need Paladin Raptor to say anything. I'm sure you've all been trained in all of this, but you see that are our mechs nearby? Can we walk over to them?
So she said that they're going to be in Hangar 87, which you're moving towards
that's
now.
What I thought we were entering. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then he would just continue, and you'd see him start his march. Turns to a quick step, turns to a jog, turns into a dead sprint with every explosion on the surface of the asteroid.
There's comm chatter that you hear, you start to pick up on over the loudspeakers and on the comm link that Director Saxifrage carries. And you hear snippets of this chatter talking about collective troops have landed, the Terrans are entering the base, And as you come around the corner, there's an explosion in front of you. I need everyone to make a mobility check, please. Oh, yeah. We should do a thumbs up, thumbs down. See, yeah. Oh, that works really well. Okay, because success is binary in Mecha Hack, you could just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There you go, Parker. Yeah, it has to be the, what's that kid's name in that GIF where he's playing computer and then he goes, yeah, okay, cool.
I'm fucking dead. Yes, that is the poster child for Mecha Hack.
Yes,
into the year 2021.
Is that kid? Mm-hmm. Yeah, with his buzz cut. Yep. So I think everyone gave thumbs up, right? Okay, cool. So you all managed to keep your footing and grab onto something as the air in this room immediately voids into space as the wall explodes inward. Dr. Saxifrage as well manages to hold on to something as this explosion blows the wall in, and immediately following the explosion, 3 people in armored spacesuits sort of touch down with magnetic boots and train their assault rifles towards you and start firing down the hallway. Let's roll for initiative. What am I rolling for? Okay. All right. Yep. Oh, I love it. This is great. Uh-huh. Oh, no. Okay. Hey, all right. Okay. And okay. So succeeding was Vogue, Rain, and Raptor. Failing, Neon and Threes, correct? Oh, you succeeded, Neon?
I succeeded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thumbs up system doesn't work then. Never mind.
It's okay.
Thought I stumbled upon something great. Okay. Vogue, you are actually up first. So you obviously don't have access to any of your mods that you would normally have in your mech, but you still have access to your pilot abilities, and you can use your skill boosts as well, your on-foot skills.
I'm sorry, I must have missed something because I failed my test.
Guys, the thumb system
That's-
is awful. It doesn't work at all.
No, it's great. Are you sure?
No,
It
doesn't
just
work
takes
at all.
practice, Matt. Come on.
No, I
We
got
look
it
so
all wrong.
similar and
What if
we're
we
next to
stay?
each
What if we
other.
stay here like this?
I'm 0 for 2 right now with the initiative thing. Rain,
It's not enough of
you're
a
up
sample
first.
size.
Yeah,
There's a lot
okay.
of chaos and war.
Okay, yeah, okay. We'll keep trying it. Next time we roll initiative, we'll do thumbs up or down. We
All
could
right.
do it. We could do it for global checks too. Like if I'm like, everyone make a save, you can do thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay.
Sounds
So Rain, you're actually up first. So you're in the back of the squad here, but you're able to go first. You react the quickest.
Okay, and you said like there's an opening to the void that rips air.
Yeah,
across
all of the air was
network?
just like sucked out of the installation.
Awesome. So, okay, Rain almost gets taken with it, and the folly of taking that big ass weapon is apparent as it just kind of whips out of her hand. She can't hold on to it. It's unwieldy. It just goes flying, and she catches her feet, and she's just like, "Oh, God damn it!" And she just grabs the grenades on that she grabbed as ammunition, just bites off one of the pins and throws it.
Awesome. Go ahead and give me a power test if you would, please.
I just narrowly hit it. 13 out of 15.
Cool. Go ahead and roll 2d6. We'll treat it like a frag grenade.
4.
4 damage. The grenade goes off down the hallway, and you see one of these soldiers in this armored spacesuit. The shrapnel catches him, and you see it just tear through the spacesuit, and his blood sort of begins floating in the vacuum, and he like slumps forward, but his boots are still maglocked to the deck, so he's just like floating there, stuck standing up but dead. Cool. That was one action, Rain. You want to do anything else?
Yeah. I think she'd like to like kind of roll into cover. I'd like to use my acrobatics on foot.
Ooh, yeah.
And to get like a position of advantage.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. That was a fail.
Okay. So I imagine that, the gravity is shut down, the air is venting into space. You sort of look up, and there's like this pylon up across the top of the ceiling, and you sort of leap, trying to get up so that you can take cover behind this pylon. And as you do so, a burst of fire from one of these rifles sort of hits the pylon, and you have to sort of divert yourself and move around into a less advantageous position to avoid that fire. All right, Raptor, you're up. You note
Yes.
Rain's initiative, by the way, and the fact that Paladin Rain acted without hesitation as soon as the firefight began.
The trust is infused inside Mora, and he stands a little bit taller as he realizes his team is good. He's a good team, and that means that he would likely succeed as well as their commander. And in fact, he takes cover really quick, just stands next to the railing and says, "Can you get another one, Rain?" And he uses battle battle tactics. This game almost was way more boring than it is.
Battle taxes, man. July 15th is coming up, baby. Battle taxes, yep.
Oh my god. I'm going to use an action, and any close or near Mecha, that's you, Rain. I'm assuming I can use this with a pilot as well. Makes a single move or attack action. So you can go again, Rain. You can make another action.
Yeah. So yeah, she says, "Hey, Commander." And that grenade just whoops across And that's a pass.
Okay, 2d6 damage.
Same damage die, right?
Yep.
This one's a little nastier. 11.
Damn. Another one bites the dust. This one actually gets blown out of the hole that they came into as this explosion just catches them full on the front of their center of mass. They go flying backwards as their mag boots disconnect from the plating of the floor. Second action, Raptor.
Raptor's gonna raise his pistol up at the third and final, correct, Terran trooper, and try to attempt to use coax, maybe, if this works, to say, "Your friends are dead. Kneel. Let us pass."
Go ahead and give me a coax check.
Fail.
The trooper responds with a burst of fire in your direction that forces you to duck out of the way, Raptor.
Yeah. 0 for 3.
All right. Paladin Neon, you're up.
After he's told to give up, that his friends are dead, and he opens fire, I'm imagining there's that anime moment where he's like, "You're the ones that surrender," kind of screaming thing like they always do.
Yep.
And the tuck and roll, right? You jump and there's like shooting everywhere.
Definitely.
So
Those
she'll
were
drop down.
dope ricochet sounds, by the way.
Thanks. She's gonna drop down to one knee and open fire with her assault rifle at this last insurgent. And that is a great success. Actually, I rolled a 4. So yeah.
All right, go ahead and roll damage. Just use your normal damage die that you would normally use.
8. And I will say that these assault rifles sound an awful lot like the RoboCop pistol. Those quick.
Yep. The little 3-round bursts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say it's either that or the pulse rifle from Aliens.
I can't mimic that one. You can, though.
Yeah, I know. It's
I grab a chair and slide
I'm not
it
good at many
quickly.
things, but I am really good at that. Yeah.
That's a deep cut for Barker.
Oh, shit. Yep. Actually, I think Aaron might have been in that game, too, that Call of Cthulhu game when I made that chair scrape sound effect that everyone mentions was so good.
I was not in that, so I didn't watch
man.
it, and that was
Okay.
good chair scrape.
Okay. I
Gotta
couldn't
say,
remember if that was one of the Call of Cthulhu games. you
Of
were
all
in.
the,
I've heard
like,
3 or 4.
Yeah.
chair scrapes I've ever heard,
Yeah.
it's like at least top 3.
Dude,
fine.
top 3. I was going to say top 5, so top 3 is an honor. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my resume. Holder of
This is the coast.
holder
Chair
of,
sound.
Yeah, holder of Aaron Van Sock's top 3 chair sounds.
We should get you a championship belt to wear.
With a chair
For it.
with like motion lines behind it,
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
moving.
exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
So you take a shot down the hallway at this this trooper and catch him with a spray of bullets. It kind of like 2 of the rounds go through their shoulder. They come up with the gun and fire a sort of panic burst as their gun goes up, and you see the shots go wide and hit Director Saxifrage, center of mass. This like hail of bullets just rips right through her, and she kind of falls backwards, floating in the air, dropping her gun. There's silence as the shots cease. All the troopers are dead.
In a moment of panic, as my second action, I run over to the director and Zasha. Like, she'll kick off of something if she has to with the low gravity and the air being sucked out. I'm imagining the whole tunnel that we're in just sounds like this as the air is still being pulled.
Yeah.
She'll grab her and be like, "Director." You can barely hear her voice in this coming vacuum, and shake just twice, and you can obviously tell that she's gone.
Yeah, as you reach her and sort of grab her, this emergency sort of shield particle field comes up over the hole, and air starts filtering back in. The gravity sort of slowly restores. And so as you're grabbing her, you're also sort of like kneeling on the floor, touching down as the gravity turns back on. You're sort of cradling her. and she looks up at you with her one good eye. And she reaches up, and you see her pull this necklace out from under her uniform. And you see that there's this beautiful, like, almost dagger-like crystal on the end of this necklace. And she pulls it off of her neck and pushes it into your chest, just giving it to you, like, you have to take this. And then you see the life just, like, leave her eyes.
Zasha's hands are like crisscrossed over the wound, and it's still, bubbling out. Like, she knows she's doing nothing to help, but she doesn't know anything else to do. Apply pressure. And then when this hit happens on her chest and she feels this thing almost dig into her, this crystal, she'll reach up instinctively and grab the director's hand with it, and the hand goes slack. And she fishes out the necklace as she lowers the director's hand back onto her chest. And she tilts her head back in true anime fashion and screams.
This woman is the only parent that you've known for a long time. And you know that she survived countless missions in the cockpit of her mech. This woman that used to be known as the Rockbreaker, killed by a stray spray of bullets. She pushes this crystal into your chest, and as she dies, you place her hand over her chest. And there's silence in this hallway as the air slowly restores. And as sound returns, you hear again the klaxons throughout the installation.
There's no time, Zasha. We have to get out of here. We have to survive. Is there a door, an obvious door to where we need to go?
Yeah, there's another door on the end of this that is going to lead you to Hangar 87.
I go up to Zasha and I try to pull her up.
Zasha stands up and puts this necklace like in the pocket of the jacket that she's wearing. I'm imagining her wearing a bomber jacket with one of those like white poofy collars. And when she reaches down to pick up her weapon, her hands are too slippery. So she rubs her hands on the chest of this jacket, leaving these big bloody smears so that she can grab this weapon. And you see that her eyes are shrink wrapped in tears, but she's got this angry, pained grimace on her face. Let's fucking go.
So I think Threes would actually reach down and pick up the director and like slump her over his shoulder. And if anybody gave him like a look, like it's not like he would just tell them she's not going to be buried here. I won't let them bury her out here in the middle of space. Let's go.
I think Paladin Rain would kind of, she would have been in the air and then like hit the ground with a thud and kind of like knocked herself a little ajar. And as she's coming to, all this, like basically she comes to the scream of Zasha after the fact, like her vision blurring in and out. And she stands up and she just stays there for too long in disbelief until someone, I don't know who, just kind of tugs her arm and just pulls her. She's like, wake her up. What are you doing?
Tulip, we don't have time for this. We have to go.
Damn it! And she's just like streams of tears, and she takes your lead.
Cry later. Live now. And he just rushes towards the door and does what he can to open it.
I think Mora stands for a second, looking at the body of the director. What's the director's name again? The first name?
Julianne Saxifrage.
Julianne. And he stands for a second at the director. Director being the name that he would only ever call this person. He salutes Julianne, and he runs after his crew to Hangar 87.
You get to the door, Mattie, and you see this symbol emblazoned on it, this P with like this swooping sort of triangle next to it. And you've seen it countless times on your uniforms, on the simulators, the emblem of the Paladin program, and beneath it are two blocky numbers, 87. The door itself is locked, sealed shut, but you know that it won't take much time to get it open.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's like an obvious crystal-shaped key
No.
keypad. No, I just I use all of my tools to just try to get it open as quickly as possible. We need to get in there as quick. And even if it seems like it's something that needs like a physical component, I'll just start saying like, "Here, help me pry it open."
Yeah, you get it part of the way open, and then you get like a crowbar pried in there, and you need help to sort of wrench it the rest of the way open as the systems of the station are slowly sort of going down. And as the door is opening, you're kind of like maybe even glancing back and looking out this window of this corridor, and you see that the Terran mechs are right on you, and they're exchanging fire with other mechs that have been deployed out of other hangars. The Hangar 87 door finally slams open, and you find yourselves on a catwalk overlooking a massive hangar. It's dark in there, pitch black, and it takes your eyes a moment to adjust. But then the emergency lights start clicking on. And as they go down the line in the hangar, you see shapes, hulking silhouettes, stories tall. They're shapes that you know, but have yet to see in person. The Mecha that have been designed for you and you alone. The Paladins stand in this hangar, silent and still. The red light casts them in this foreboding glow, gleaming off of panels, armor plates, and weapons. Each of them is unique, each a distinct shape, each with a unique function. But they all are emblazoned with that P and the swooping symbol. You know which ones are yours. What do you do?
Mora is unabashedly the first in the mecha. His mecha is angular and gray and has glass on the chest piece and both knees. The head swoops down with like these sick freaking angular fenders, and then like a small blue visor from which he can see through using the Geist system. And already in one hand is what looks like a bullpup sort of weapon, this submachine gun. He steps into the mecha on the foot and it lifts him up into the torso of the mecha. And he is like in a flash of light. He is inside the cockpit of this machine. A white light slowly fades into the cockpit around him, which looks far more massive because of the heads-up display than it actually is. But he can like see through the walls a little bit and kind of see everything around him. And he says, "Raptor standing by."
Is there any external launch sequence that needs to be happening outside, or would it just be? Is it just easy enough to just get into our mechs and go, or is there anything that needs to be happening outside?
No, you can get in your mech, and you're sure that any sort of system that would need to be interfaced with in order to open the hangar, you're sure you could do from inside.
Okay, then everyone go ahead.
You're
Good
next
checking,
in clockwise order.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm next in clockwise order. So, yeah, we've already described Vogue, but yeah, he'll access the sort of front panel that opens up the like chest part. He climbs in, and the jack that goes into the system, because that goes into his whole nervous system, causes him to shudder for a second, and he is going to this for anybody that's just come into the game, watching the game, it is a curvaceous, all curves, all smooth, sort of almost feminine shape. It looks like it is extremely aerodynamic, and like anything could just kind of like, even though it's like a little bit thicker, everything could just kind of like glide off of it, and it kind of comes down to these like really nimble and really well articulated legs that have just like a lot of pieces and just this curvy armor plating on it. And he begins to like to push some buttons and do what he has to do, and the colors on the mech begin to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for, like they coordinate, and they begin to like gear up and do what they have to do, almost like it's loading, and then it goes into its like preferred state, which is just this like purple with like these gold accents. And the Paladin crest, there's also like a crest of tinted gel, but then there's also this huge like branding of like the sigil of the Jai family. And he says, Paladin Vogue standing by.
Rain, I think you're next.
Paladin Rain moves towards this titanic machine and looks up at it. Her eyes like still wet from tears, but like wide with wonder. It is much larger than she imagined it, despite the scale being apparent in the simulations, like much larger. She stops for a moment in appreciation, but realizes that she's wasting time. And she sniffles, a post-cry sniffle, and just hustles into the machine. It actually has as she steps towards it, its eyes light up bright orange, and the arm actually extends down. Another amazing feature that she was not expecting. She steps onto it, and this thing that she has an almost familial bond with, like she's known it forever, carries her into its chest, which opens and closes. And taking a deep breath, she just says, Paladin Rain, ready, Commander.
So Threes would move quickly to his I keep wanting to say mobile suit, to his chassis. And his would be one that would be kind of grayed out. It would have the almost like black and white and gray digital camo kind of printed all along it, kind of embedded into the machine itself. And he would go to the chest plate where it would open up and allow him to slide in. But before he would place his hand like almost reverently on his mobile suit, as this is the first time that he's ever actually like touched it or seen it. And although there's a lot happening, this like he feels like he's already like connected with the system, and that although he doesn't talk a lot about his past, that this mobile suit represents more than just some hardcore tech for a war front. This is something more meaningful to him. And then the moments passed and he slides and slips inside. The hatch closes, the lights kind of flicker on as like the hollow deck kind of flows around, and the logos for Paladin kind of flash on, and those who are viewing it from the outside actually see that the digital camo actually changes color based on what kind of terrain he's in. And since it detects that he's in an urban setting, it kind of flashes to an orange, blue, and gray. Not as like crazy as Vogue's, but enough that like it might confuse people looking for him while he's like immersed in trenched down. And then as soon as everything's geared up and he's ready and he's suited up, he says over the comm, Paladin 3's ready and waiting.
So Zasha actually has a little bit different style of a mech than the rest of her team, in the fact that if you can imagine, the body of her mech is almost shaped like a barrel. The sides are squared, but not perfectly so. There is no head to the top of this mech, as it usually makes for a much easier target for sensors. Instead, it's flat, as though things could later be mounted to it if need be, including a head if sensors were needed. It has these huge bipedal legs that swoop forward, back, and down onto huge plated feet, almost like it's more of a construction machine than anything. These huge pads make it hard to topple. The arms are nearly flat, with the shoulders higher than where its head should be, with long, mobile pieces that can shift and move to grapple or interact with other objects. As I said before, there's an enormous cannon mounted to the back of it. This singularly powerful, ardent for vector weapon. Experimental, it burns atmosphere. It's not to be used lightly. Seeing it in person, I'm imagining, would make her shake a little. Its arm is extended outward, almost like a ramp, practically flat on the inside, other than some handholds. And she steps onto the palm and grabs onto the arm to climb up it into the cockpit. And she sees the blood on her hand now smeared on this Arctic camo that she's chosen for it, this kind of slate gray and white mottled camo. And she has just a moment looking at the red smear on the white, where she loses all sense of time, and she spends a moment there until she hears all the mechs around her powering up. And she snaps back, runs up the arm, and jumps into this cockpit, and the whole front of the machine locks down in front of her and like snaps in completely, this hardened armor shell around her. And when the displays finally blink up into light and she's sliding on this helmet, she says, Paladin Neon, ready.
At this point, Vogue would like slam something in his cockpit, and he would start playing music that would then, which he then like uses his system to pump into everybody else's cockpit too.
Is this something that hypothetically we could find on Spotify?
Hypothetically, you probably could, yeah, if you had the right links.
Hypothetically, what would the name be of the song?
I was hoping it would just be ludicrous, but okay.
I don't have the song name.
It's X gonna give it to you by DMX and the Rough Riders. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
No.
Yep,
The Paladins activate for the first time their Virillion reactors spinning up and filling the cavernous space of this hangar. And as you all chime in on your comms, and the hangar doors sort of open up, venting all of the air and atmosphere into space, you see a battle raging outside of the installation. And Neon, you go to grab the controls, and you notice something on the console in front of you that you've never noticed before in the simulations. There's a tiny port that sort of flips into place, almost hexagonal shaped. And you feel this like warmth against your chest and realize that the crystal that is there is glowing and getting warm.
I grab the crystal and pull the whole thing down and delicately kind of slot it in to see what happens. Like, her eyes are furrowed inside the helmet. She's just like, what the hell?
You slide this crystal in and it fits perfectly. And the port sort of disappears inside the console. It sort of takes it away inside the mech. As there's this, on your HUD, this flicker of pixels. And then this vague shape sort of begins to form. And then it's a face. And you see that it's Director Saxifrage. As the face of the Rockbreaker manifests before you, she speaks over your comm, and all of you hear it. Paladins, if you're hearing this message, I am dead. But I hope the same fate has not befallen the 5 of you. There's much work to be done, and much you need to understand. I have kept many secrets from you. I intended to tell you all of them, but my time has been cut short. First, you need to deal with the enemies outside. Then I'll tell you where to go next. And as the camera pans out of the hangar and we see for the first time all 5 Paladin suits standing shoulder to shoulder, backlit by these emergency red lights, hefting their weapons, it cuts and we go to anime-style credits where you're like, I don't know, like at a beach somewhere or something. I don't really know. But that is where we're going to end our session for today.
It's a woman looking at a champagne glass on a beach.
Yes,
somewhere.
For some reason. Relena Peacecraft is on a safari in Africa.
Maddie is currently spinning a parasol.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yes.
And but then we're all just wearing, coordinated swimsuits and just like splashing together.
One of you has a Speedo. One of you has like one of those old-timey like striped swimsuits. That's like the whole situation with the suspenders and everything.
Mora comes over and like knocks over our sandcastle by accident. We're just like,
yeah. I hope you all know that
this. We're all still in our mechas during this. Like it's not it's not the pilots. It's the actual Gundams doing this.
I hope you know that I am contractually obligated, because this is an anime series, that we have to have a beach episode at some point, and I hope you're all prepared for that.
I hope you're
fan service.
Why can't they just all be beach episodes?
Maybe they'll all be beach episodes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this inaugural episode of Mecha Hack Paladins. We're going to be playing every 2 weeks for the foreseeable future. We're shooting for like 10, 12 sessions. We'll see how things go. I'm going to toss it over to these guys to do outros, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. But thank you again for watching. Let's go ahead and start. Same order. Barker.
Thanks for running this game, Matt, and thanks for inviting me to this game. Thanks for introducing me to Gundam. I am still a rookie at this, but I am just now getting a handle on enough tropes where I can totally lampoon a few of them in the game, and I'm excited to see how Paladin Raptor or Mora changes over the course of these sessions. And I'm really excited to see these other characters evolve and change. I think this is my first time playing with 3 of you. I lose track, but thanks for playing, everybody, and thanks for watching. I hope this was fun to watch. If it was half as fun to watch as it was to plan, then it's worth it. Oh, I'm Barker.
Awesome. All right, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for running it again. I'm excited to upgrade my overall rig so you guys can hear me a bit better. But
Matt is actually
honestly,
broadcasting
I'm
from
glad
outer
I
space.
got through the game because it was awesome. And yes, I am indeed. And I'm thinking of that Tim Curry clip we all looked at before the game started. But yeah, great game, Matt. Great. Enough said.
Awesome. And honestly, it really wasn't too bad. And when it counted, your internet came through in the end. So
It really did.
It never cut out anything important.
yeah, exactly. It was like, yeah, it really worked out. So, all right, John, go ahead, man.
Yeah, this was great. This is my first time playing Mecha Hack, so this was really fun. Well, I guess like technically the second time. My first time playing it as it's finished.
Right.
But yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed like kind of like living in the Gundam like esque universe for a little bit. Really excited for the next session. Yeah, like I said, when this all started, you guys can catch me over at a character if you want more of me, I guess. But other than that, yeah, this was great, and I can't wait to play with everybody again.
Awesome. And we're going to loop back to Aaron because I just realized I skipped him because I started looking at the OBS window and then I looked at the Zoom window and everyone's in a different order. So Aaron, go ahead.
Excuses.
This offense will not go unpunished.
It will not. So yeah, I had a great time. I'm really looking forward to this campaign. I'm really looking forward to playing with all these players. I've played with Matt and Barker before, but not the rest. And so this is really awesome and a great opportunity. I'm a complete like neophyte when it comes to like Gundam and mech stuff. And I really only started like engaging with the culture with that for like just for this game, so I could like study up. So like this is literally from the moment that we got picked to do this game to the moment this first session happened. I just watched 2 Gundam series, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun like introducing myself to this and from a completely like new perspective, and kind of getting thrown into the deep end with like trying to play a big metal thing. So yeah, had a lot of fun. Can't wait for more. You can find honestly, the best place to find me is like just go to like your different socials and look up Aaron DVS, AARON DVS. I would love some more Twitter people just to like deal with highly specific references and just bitchy comments. But then yeah, or ADVS Productions, I believe, on YouTube. I might do some more YouTube stuff. I might not. And you can't tell me otherwise. So yeah, thanks a lot, and thank you, Matt, and thank you, players, and bye, the Mecha Hack.
Awesome. All right, JB, take us out.
I did link the Mecha Hack in the chat below, but you can find it at Absolute Tabletop. It's $7 currently. It is a steal.
This guy
Pirate
is pitching
it.
for us.
Pirate it. Come on.
I mean, I gotta do what I gotta do.
It's somewhere.
I'm JB, also known as Drop the Die, and if you need to reach me, write your name on the bottom side of a rock and put it gently in running water, and I will contact you. Or find me on Twitter at twitter.com/dropthedie.
That's actually how I got you in this game. Was I
day.
put a rock in a river and shut up. So
Yep. It was
That was
uncomfortable
beautiful.
to travel that long so quickly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have had a little experience with mecha stuff, but I've never played a tabletop game of it. Played a lot of video games. I share several with Matt, including Armored Core and Zone of the Enders.
Mhm.
Real good stuff. You need to check it out. What I've seen is mainly G Gundam, which is hilarious.
God.
Gundam Wing, which is phenomenal, and Escaflowne, which will blow your fucking mind. So being in this game is fantastic. I'm glad that I could kind of start off on a lucky streak to make Zasha seem cool. It's always good to have a character start out that way. Really glad to be playing in a game, period, but a Monday game especially, and a game that's not D&D is also so refreshing right now. So refreshing. Mecha Hack is super easy to get into. I read it over the course of a day, and all of the stuff on my character sheet I used during today's session. So that's all you have to know to run the game. It's been really, really fun.
Awesome. I wrote it over the course of a day too, so that's funny how that works out.
It's like 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll never be that productive ever again. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been a blast. Catch us in 2 weeks for session 2, which I don't have a title picked out for, but I wish I did so I could like tease it here next time on Mecha Hack Paladins.
You gotta go Gundam with it and be like the song she knew at midnight. That's
Yeah.
crazy shit.
The swinging pendulum of fate on the next episode of Gundam Wing. Yeah, it's something like that. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Catch us next time, and take care and happy gaming all.
That was the outro lineup.
I don't have a better one picked out.